Hi, Adrianne here, and today I'm coming to you with a review of the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Palette. I bought this palette back in December. I wasn't planning on getting it. I was at Ulta and I was returning another palette from another company, and I kept staring at the Too Faced section, and every time I looked at this palette I thought it was something that I wasn't interested in. The colors didn't seem to pop to me and it didn't stand out as anything super spectacular, but something kept saying just go up and start swatching some of the product on the back of your hand. So I did start swatching it and I thought, this is looking pretty good. You know, maybe I'm making a mistake here and this is something that I am going to want. So I went ahead and purchased it since I had money for my return anyway. And I took it home and I absolutely fell in love with the palette. This is the box that the palette comes in. Looks like this. It's adorable too. Too Faced always gets me with their packaging. They have some of the cutest packaging I have ever seen. And on the back of this box, it's got a color swatch and the name of the products. Oh, let me get in the right spot. It's got the name of the different colors on the box. So I've hung on to that so that I could show you guys. And in that box also comes this little handout that has some suggestive looks. I don't know if that's going to focus well for you guys. I guess it's coming in a little bit, for what to do with different eye colors. So that's nice that on the back it's got a description of the colors that were used to create these eye looks. So there's some suggestions there for you if you're not sure what to do once you get the palette. The packaging always is just adorable with this company. It looks like a chocolate bar, and I guess that's why they call it the chocolate bar, and everybody loves it. It has a metal case on it that just has magnets in it, and that's how it stays snapped closed. My mirror here, if it looks a little odd to you, that's because it's still got the plastic coating on it, but I think it's adorable how they have the letters written up here in that kind of old Western style. And the colors in here are just beautiful to me. They're very neutral, neutral to cool brown palette is what I would say this is. And I've been looking for years trying to find frosty satiny shades that will look good on my eyes and not turn an ashy color or just look like it's sitting on top of my skin and not blending well. And this color here and this color here and this one also, they look awesome on my skin, and I can finally wear a good bronzy golden look without looking ashy or feeling like the palette just doesn't work for me at all. Now I'm going to go ahead and swatch them on my hands. I'm going to start with the green color, and that is the Gilded Ganache color. It swatches and looks like that. And then the next one is the white chocolate. And that one looks like that. Moving right on to milk chocolate. Now we are moving on to the next shade. And sorry guys, you're going to have to look at it on the side. I can't read them to you. I have color contact lenses in and they are not prescription, so I can't actually see a lot of what I'm doing. But I just wanted you to see how these colors swatch live with one little swipe. So I don't run out of hand, I'm going to go in the middle with this. I think those are picking up pretty good, yeah. Hope I don't run out of hand. Here's that pink, I think it's called Strawberry Bonbon shade right there. And that purplish shade, which is that, I think it's called Candied Violet. That goes on a little patchy. That's showing up pretty bright, pretty good. There's been some other times where I've swatched it and it's not looked so vivid. Next to it, put the Amaretto color. I don't know if I'm going to have enough hand left for all this. We're starting the bottom row now. This won't be perfect, but you can at least get an idea of what the colors swatch like live. And there's that one. And then here's that Cherry Cordial, just wiping some of it off. And now the last shade, which is, I'm not even gonna act like I can see well enough to read because I can't. Okay guys, here's the whole palette swatched on my hands. I can't believe I fit 16 shade palette on one of my little hands. But here it all is. And you saw that was just one little swipe across the hands for most of the colors. So that's how it swatches live. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into how I created this eye look today. I'm reviewing so many different products that I'm trying to make sure that I'm using different things almost every day right now, so I can give you guys good reviews on it. But I always want to grab for this palette, and it is a palette that automatically made pretty much my drawer. I was so excited when I got this palette when I started playing in it, because everything that I would do with it turned out to look great. I think I completed 3 different eye looks in one night, the first night that I got it, playing around with it, because everything just turned out so gorgeous, and the looks were different. They weren't similar at all. I find that whether I'm using the darker shades to do kind of a smoky eye, or if I'm doing something like the look that I have today, it always turns out perfect. It seems like anything I do with this palette just turns out awesome. There's nothing that I don't like about this palette. There's some colors that I probably wouldn't use very much, like the pinky shades. I'm not that big into pink, but I probably will do some looks with it anyway, just to see how they turn out and to get full use of the palette. I love a palette that I could use every single color in it. That's when I really feel like I got my money's worth. And speaking of money's worth, I did pay $49 for this palette. Like I said, I picked it up at Ulta, and it's definitely a palette that I would replace again. If I hit pan on any color or was running low, I would go right back out and buy that palette. If I was traveling, it would be something that I would really want to travel with, because I feel like I get such a refined, polished look. There's so many palettes out there, and even palettes that are kind of knockoffs to this one. But the thing about it is the quality isn't quite the same as this palette. It's so finely milled, the shimmer in this, that it just glides over the skin, and it is really creamy and goes on easily. It doesn't seem to take a lot of blending to get the colors to look good, and that makes such a difference, especially when you've got more mature eyes that the skin's starting to get crepey and a little more textured. When you get some of the palettes that aren't as good of a quality as this one, your look doesn't look quite as polished, and you can see a few more of the flaws in your skin that this palette tends to cover up. I'd gotten to where I was preferring to wear mainly all mattes because of the skin starting to get crepey around the eyes, with me being in my 40s now. And this is a palette that I feel comfortable wearing. Like, it just blends with the skin and looks gorgeous, and the shimmer's not too much on my eyes at all. So I love it for that reason. And the smell, you know, this palette smells like cocoa. I've never had a product that smells like cocoa, and it actually tastes like cocoa. I didn't taste it on purpose. I had some on my finger and got a brush hair on my tongue, and I went to pull the brush hair off my tongue, and my finger was sweet. So I thought, oh my goodness, this palette smells like chocolate and it tastes like chocolate. Now, I'm not going to be eating my palette, because a $49 palette, you know, I want that to last for a while, but this is definitely a staple palette in my collection. This is something that I would not be without. I have a very organized system with how I organize my daily makeup, and I'm really picky about what I want in front of me, because I don't like a lot of abstract stuff that I can't pick up and use everything in the palette and produce a perfect look. To me, that slows me down and it agitates me for my day. If I'm sitting down at my vanity and I'm trying to get dressed quickly, I want to be able to pick things up and everything that I pick up in that drawer be perfect, and I come out with a complete look. And this palette does that for me, no matter what colors I choose in it. And I just can't say enough good things about it. Like I said, so far, this has been one of the favorite palettes that I've bought, and I've bought a lot of palettes since December, but this one is ranking #1 out of all those palettes so far. And this look that I created today, I feel like I can do an eye look so fast, even if it's a little more on the dramatic side, because the product goes on so well and blends so well. I also typically like to pat products on the actual eyelid in here with my ring finger. Some of the eye products I use have been making my eyes a little bit sensitive, the anti-aging products. So a lot of the brushes with the rough bristles, or just the repetitive motion of moving product across my eye with something foreign, has been irritating to the eyes, and that pigment packs on so quickly with my fingertips. and dabbing it on, it just basically feels like it's just gliding on the eyes. But I did use a brush with it, as you guys saw today, and that's the first time I've ever used a shader brush with it. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to see how the product would apply, and it applied well and didn't take much blending or me going over and over the eye area, which is something that I really love about an eye product now. And actually, it can make or break whether I'll decide to even use an eye palette anymore with the aging issues that I'm having with the eyes. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that it works well with the brush also. I do prefer it better to just pat it on with my fingers. I think the color goes on more concentrated with it on the eyelid and faster, but the brush did a good job. Gosh, what else can I say about it? It's just got the perfect everything in it. No, it doesn't have black in it, but it's got that awesome dark chocolate. I think it's called Triple Fudge. That's a really dark, rich shade, and it does a really good job for me in contouring the eye perfectly fine on a daily basis out in the real world. You know, I don't typically ever really wear any black shadow anyway, so a good rich dark brown works perfectly for me. And also I can see that that will be a great under eye shading color if I ever want to smoke out my eyes. So I am absolutely in love with this palette. I think it's every bit of worth $49. This is a palette that if I had to buy a gift for someone, no matter what their skin tone is, the undertones, if they were a warm skin tone or a cool skin tone, I would feel comfortable in buying them this palette, because I just don't think you can go wrong with this palette, and I see it as being a palette that everyone can use, and especially if you like different variations of brown, and you know, as a businesswoman working in a conservative environment, I think that this palette is just excellent for that pop of color and shimmer. It's not going to be something that's just so sparkly that it may look a little gaudy with the daytime look. It can be glammed up. It can work for an everyday day look. It's just an overall great palette, and it's really made me fall in love with Too Faced eyeshadow palettes. Just the quality of it overall. It's one of the better quality eyeshadows that I have ever used, and I think that's all I have to say about it. I mean, it's a new favorite and I love it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you saw today, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. You'll also want to hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button so you get alerts every time I release a new video. See you guys later.